we have around things that continue to happen, and we'll continue with that conversation this hour. But before we do, Father's Day is coming up, and Woolie's doing something, isn't it? Yes. Tell us about that, Dennis.
We all know that Father's Day is a journey of strength, wisdom, and quiet sacrifice. And here on the Situation Room, we often talk about making meaningful decisions. So this Father's Day, Dennis Okari, Mashmiwa, Father's Day is around the corner. Woolworths, here's one. It's giving a dad a reason to smile, relax, and maybe even show off just a little bit. Fathers don't get show off every other time because they're busy working, making sure systems are moving. And let's show our appreciation with a gift that speaks style and substance. Woolworths is offering 30% off men's sleepwear, knitwear, jackets, and coats until the 16th of June, so time is not on our side, and perfect for the dad who enjoys comfort, quality, and a little flair. Whether it's a quiet night in or stylish evening with family, this is your chance to say thank you, Dad, with quality he'll feel. Something worthy of the man who's always been there. Visit your nearest Woolworths store today and shop in store. Remember, terms and conditions apply. 16th is the deadline, and Woolworths is the difference.
Indeed. Asante sana. Gathoni Wamuchomba is the Member of Parliament for Githunguri constituency. We have seen her face over the last, easily from last year to this year, doing a certain thing. And that has been breaking down, essentially, the bill. She did it last year, and she's doing it again this year. And we're having a conversation this hour around the budget, which is going to take place tomorrow. But then we're also asking the question, when we're budgeting amid bloodshed, where should Kenya's focus be right now? And she's in the hot seat this morning. Mweshima, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We are very well.
Very long time. Mm-hmm. The last time I was here, the bench was different.
Yes.
So I'm happy to meet a new team.
The bench is different. The issues remain the same.
Of course, Okari is not new to me. Mm-hmm. But maybe my brother is a bit new.
Yeah.
But I'm glad.
Gen Z.
Yeah, ni Gen Z.
But okay. She's not new to me.
Gladly so. Thank you so much. So good morning, everybody.
And
those
me, you
that
just
are
think
listening.
you put me in your handbag.
Of course. I assume that we are always with you. I don't know why I assume. No, but you know we are cousins. and we chat a lot on social media with her. So she's very present in my mind. In fact, sometimes I assume that we were with her yesterday. Yeah. So very good morning to those that are listening to us, watching us, and of course my great voters of Githunguri, those that follow Spice FM. I'm sure they're waiting to hear what their mother is gonna say.
Absolutely.
And I'm so humbled that I have a very big following on social media, basically because of what I've been doing on those platforms. I basically avoid a lot of politics on those platforms, but I concentrate on telling people what they need to hear from somebody who understands the political and parliamentary language, which sometimes becomes very complicated and technical for laymen.
Sure.
So I decided this year, just like I did last year, I'm going to break down the parliamentary language of amending bills in order to tax people. Because like you know, or you may have heard, this year finance bill is not direct. It's not telling you that you're adding tax on bread. They're not telling you that they are adding tax on medication. They are amending other laws to facilitate the additions of taxes and removal of tax reliefs. And that's something that most people are not able to read. When you read the finance bill, the way it is, it actually looks like there's nothing that has been done. But there's a lot that has been hidden in the proposed amendments.
And we'd like to go into some of those things this morning, and we're going to go at the length and breadth of that conversation.
Sure.
But first of all, Dennis is going to share today's proverb with you, and then we'd like to hear your interpretation. I think you might like this one. I think I've said that to somebody else as well this morning.
Yeah, so in Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, the country whose president has been in office for 39 years now, and the wife is the Minister of Education, that is in Uganda. And the proverb today, when the roots of a tree begin to decay, it spreads death to the branches. When the roots of a tree begin to decay, it spreads death to the branches. What do you make of that?
I think what I make out of that is that every strong foundation determines the strength of the structure. Every strong foundation determines the strength of the structure. Yes. So if the foundation is wobbling, the structure will also wobble. I think that's what I interpret.
Well put.
Well put.
Well put.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So we don't forget finance.
And the foundation in Kenya is wobbling.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Political foundation is completely wobbling. Yeah. When you witness what we are seeing, from the papers today, we are reading and hearing, the police have the audacity to drive into somebody's compound and pick up a child and finally kill the child, because it is obvious from the report we received yesterday from the government chemists and pathologists. The late Albert was killed in the hands of the same very people who are supposed to be protecting him. And it is very unfortunate that the chairman of IPOA would do a presser supported by the same people he purports to investigate. It's a fallacy. And it has never been that IPOA is saying we are going to take action against this police, and the IG is standing there. The 2 DIGs are standing there. The persons of interest in the case are standing with him there. And he's telling us and assuring us that he's going to do investigations. I thought IPOA was and is independent.
In the first name, I mean, the word in the I in IPOA is independent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Does the chairman understand that he's independent? Does it occur to him that actually doing a presser together with the people he oversees is actually contravening the Kenyan constitution? Who nominates these people? I keep saying the kind of people that are nominated in these commissions, independent commissions and strategic offices in this country are political rejects. People who are just given jobs just because they were rejected by the people in the ballot. And so when they're given those offices, all they do is to please their master who appointed them. For heaven's sake, IPOA should never appear anywhere purporting to investigate a murder case executed by the police and present us a presser between him and the IG and the deputy IG.
But if you look at the looked at the demeanor of Isaac Hassan in that presser, the entire presser, you study body language, facial expressions. He, for lack of a better word, he looked like somebody who's been dragged into it. He's almost like subdued. You have to issue a statement alongside us.
Which begs the question, where is his independence? Because then at that
where
point,
is his independence?
he ceded his independence.
It's a fallacy. Let me tell you, we have messed up this country. Those independent commissions, by the way, for your information, I'm the outgoing chair of the committee that was oversighting IPOA. Committee of Implementation of the Kenyan Constitution. I have served in that committee in the Parliament for the last 1.5 years. I was petitioned out of the committee just because I do not clap for the government when they want me to clap for them, because I tell them as it is. Sometimes when they are wrong, I tell them I'm wrong, and I was kicked out of that commission. I mean that committee. And I can tell you, even the way we are funding these independent commissions, it's like we want to kill their independency. We no longer fund them, by the way. We only provide them salaries.
Yeah.
Those guys report to offices and they do nothing because they are not funded.
And I think this is a vital question, because the chair of IPOA sat in that chair as well.
Yeah.
And now that as you sit in that committee, which essentially, guides or regulates what's going to happen when it comes to the use of resources, the question is, why defund an authority? Because if we look at other jurisdictions, IPOA can be likened to internal affairs, for example, in the US Police Service. They don't joke about the job that they do when it comes to keeping police alive.
But when you have no money, you're not empowered with the resources.
So why defund them? And the
because
people who
that
make
is the strategy.
the people who make the law,
that is the strategy of this Kenya
Parliament.
Kwanza government, to make sure that they defund all these independent commissions so that they can be able to control them.
Why does Parliament agree, Mheshimiwa?
That is the question. What quality of MPs are you electing for us? You should ask yourself. You are the voters. You know, you keep complaining here, oh, Parliament is not doing this, Parliament is captured. Why do you keep repeating, electing the same category of people who you think that if you remove them from the markets and elevate them to members of Parliament, others I hear in my area, in the region, Mount Kenya region, I hear people saying, oh, huyu ni mtoto wa single mother, this is a single mother boy. Let us elect him,
okay,
so that at least he can build for his mother a new house. You know, we don't care what that MP is going to do in that Parliament and how much he can mess you as you sympathize with him, mtoto wa single mother. You see, it all starts with the quality of MPs you elect, the political parties where these people are coming from, the relationship between these members of Parliament with the president or party leaders, and we end up where we are. Right now, yesterday, I closed Parliament yesterday. I think I left about some minutes to 7 o'clock. We were debating the very, very serious issues of budget yesterday. Debating budgets. And we are hardly 20 members of Parliament in that house.
Out of almost 300.
Can you imagine? But when we are impeaching people, we are full. We are full. Yesterday, I needed to hear members of Parliament, especially women parliamentarians, come in to defend. Why is the government defunding the elderly people's social protection? Why is the government removing a whole whooping 600 million from social protection?
But does it also
You know, all those stories I'm talking about here, you know, we can come here and complain and ask, why is Parliament not doing this? But it all starts with what quality of parliamentarians
but
have you elected in this Parliament?
But there's also another argument, a counter-argument, where there are very solid, sober people who've been elected into that Parliament. You earlier spoke about control, defunding, because obviously the ruling class wants to control. But is it also a classic case of the executive in this instance also controlling Parliament? Because when there was a debate on the issue of Albert Ojwang and this issue you've just raised, I was watching the Senate, I was watching also the National Assembly, and what I observed is once somebody makes their own submission, they leave because they're getting the clicks for TikTok and they just leave. So there's no healthy debate or sober debate in the House. Is it also a question of you guys are also controlled by the ruling class?
Of course. You see, once you are able to dictate the quality and the type of people that are going to be elected in both houses, and then you elevate the executive by making sure that the executive are stronger politically than the members of Parliament and Senate, they take over. As we speak right now, Parliament is captured. Real captured. In fact, sometimes I laugh when I see a chair of a committee defending executive. A question is thrown to the relevant ministry, like, for example, Ministry of Land. And then the minister, the minister is supposed to come and answer that question. But the chair of that committee answers the question. Then I wonder, are we parliamentarians who oversight those ministers, or we defend them, or we talk for them?
So what happens that the member of parliament for Githunguri constituency, for example, is not captured and is able to speak out, and for all intents and purposes is still able to do that, and then somebody else who sits on the chair in another capacity for some reason would not be able to do the same thing? What has happened? Have you become so lobotomized, for example, that you forget who you're supposed to actually be representing? Because this allows us to segue into the conversation that we talk about now, when tomorrow the budget will be read. What happens? So for some of the very vital things for which oversight, for which representation, for which legislation is being made, and we're talking about a captured lot of people, why then in this captured lot of people do we have people who won't?
Well, it depends on your principles. I mean, if you are elected because people understand you and appreciate your principles, then why erode on them? I mean, for me, I have been the voice of the people, the voice of reason, not only when I'm elected, but even when I was in the media. Remember, I served in the media for many years. And if you follow my story very well, you'll see I have not started speaking the way I do now. I spoke many times. I spoke to Moi's regime. I was summoned in State House. I spoke to Kibaki's regime. I was also summoned in State House. I spoke to Uhuru's regime. I am speaking to Ruto's regime. And I'll continue speaking because that's me. You can't change me. And politics I'll not allow politics to change me. I will continue speaking for this country because God has a reason why He's given me the oratory skills and the understanding that I have. And my business is to take care of that old woman who believes in me. My business is to fight for that child, that disabled child whose rights have been violated and has been taken away. Look at this budget. This is a very, very, very awful budget. This is something that I honestly feel like we are joking.
Well, let's get into it.
We are really joking. Why are we giving police, the same police who are killing our children, why are we giving them addition of 100 million to follow us on social media? Why? And we sit here as members of parliament and we are saying, oh, who killed Ojwang? Oh, we are mourning. Oh, and nobody comes to that parliament to say no. I don't know whether you remember, there was a time, there was a national outcry when NYS money was looted. Do you remember?
Yes.
I think it was between 2017 to 2022.
Yes.
Do you remember there was a time, National Assembly, that time ODM was a very vibrant minority party, opposition party. They stormed parliament and they made sure, and they ensured, and some of us joined them, even if I was in the ruling party, I joined them for that. And we said we are not going to give NYS a single coin until they are counted and told us who stole NYS money. And we never funded them for a whole financial year. So with this all outrage we have about Ojwang's death, I think members of parliament should help the young people of Kenya, should help Kenyans in general to tame the police. Yeah, when I was coming here, my sister, I was looking at a TikTok post that was done by a small young man, a looking young man, protesting against a police who actually told him, I have marked you. When they were protesting somewhere outside, I think it was outside Central Police.
Yes.
And that young man was just, trying to air out his grievances and saying, and that is their right to picket anyway, because they were not throwing stones, they were not burning tires, they were just picketing and saying, we want to know who killed Albert. And this young man is pointed by a police officer and told, I have marked you. And after this, I'm going to look for you. Remember, we will meet in the street. So this young man was protesting against what has been done to him when he was picketing. And he was saying, I need to be allowed to go to the police station inside here, which was less than 5 meters away, to record this statement that this policeman has threatened me.
Yes.
And he was refused to get in. Yani polisi wetu wamefika pahali, we fund them with our taxes, our sweat, and they're making this a police state, that you can't go and report a police officer who has just threatened you, and there is evidence he was recorded threatening this young man. And then in parliament, we sit pretty and we give them extra money.
Mheshimiwa, as we talk about the budget estimates that have been put to Parliament, pretty much everything about the budget, one of the most important aspects of the same would be oversight and the work of Parliament in making sure that money that is set aside for various aspects in budget making process or even implementation of the same is put into prudent use. Parliament doesn't seem to be doing a good job while at that. So what will it take for Parliament finally to start doing that?
The reason why some of us are on TikTok and are on X is because we are frustrated as members of Parliament.
By who?
And we realize that whenever you get to Parliament and you want to speak, somebody is gagging you. Because you are not supposedly supposed to speak, because you are not speaking the language of the majority. Please remember, Parliament is 98%, if not 100%, majority. Because the opposition got married to the ruling class, to the ruling party. So some of us who have dissenting voices are gagged. You're not able to speak. You're not given opportunities to speak. If you follow me, for example, like yesterday, you only speak when you are on point of orders. But nobody will give you an express card to go and speak in Parliament.
Raise an issue.
You always raise point of orders. Yeah, point of information so that you can speak. You understand? Yeah, so I think, like I said, the Parliament is captured. Some of us now, because we want to talk to the people, we want to defend some of these lines that we fight for. I am very vocal on matters, coffee, tea, I'm sure you follow me. And I realize that when I sit there and wait for my turn, I'll never get it. So I look for opportunities where I will be heard. Luckily, even on those TikTok things that I do, even members of parliament follow. Because I meet them on the corridors. They are saying, oh, I didn't know that finance bill is talking about this. I had it with you.
Good grief.
So I'll continue doing what I'm doing. I know I am getting a lot of resistance from the ruling class and from the executive, but I care less. As long as the Wanjiko that votes me and follows me and believes in me get to know what this government is doing for or against them. And that's my business.
What are some of the things in the finance bill that you said, the words that you used is that this is an awful bill?
Yeah.
And we know that the finance bill essentially will give birth to already, I think the baby's on the way. We're going to hear the budget being read tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we'll see then after that, it then becomes law. It becomes then the Finance Act, which essentially then fuels what will be spent in the year 2025, 2026. So we're asking the question this morning, what is wrong with the bill?
Finance Bill 2025, like I said, is a very technical piece of paper. It is within it. It has recommendations to amend three critical acts that are going to create windows for the government to add taxes and levies. First of all, I want to tell you that I served in the 12th Parliament as a member of Parliament, and I was in the Committee of Communications that made the Data Protection Act. 2019 all the way to 2021, we made a very powerful law, and I'm very proud of that. I think the only thing I really am proud of as a member of Parliament is having achieved to play a very critical role in making that bill into a law. The Data Protection Law dictates that the government has no power to troll you on your finances through your bank accounts, your M-Pesa, your SACCO savings, your investment in the shares or whatever. And if they really want to get your information, financial, personal information and data, they can only do so through a court of law. They can only get a court order. And the government of the day, Kenya Kwanza government, has attempted to troll us through accessing our personal information regarding our finances in 2024-2023 finance bill. That proposal was there. And we fought it fiercely. And when we did so, through the miscellaneous making bill, the same recommendation was brought. It was nicked under the miscellaneous. And we amended the Tax Procedures Act. And we created a window that the tax procedure of the tax commissioner to get to your information has to go through the law that is called Tax Procedures Act. But we still stopped it even after they passed through came through the miscellaneous. Some of us are very vigilant. Now, because it was inserted in this law that is Tax Procedures Act, now the proposal of the Finance Bill 2025 is proposing to remove that limitation that is put there. We limited the tax commissioner from accessing your personal data. So now they are proposing, let us remove the limitation. If we remove that limitation, and that is why I say they are using very parliamentary language, which most of you may not understand, if that limitation is removed, then the Commissioner of Taxes will have direct and express authority to harvest and mine your data, your financial secrets, your data financial, and any other money-related information. I mean, in Kenya, you know Kenya is Kenya. I mean, when you say you're mining my information, when you want to mine my money, you will also mine other information about me. And, you know, on that TikTok thing I said, I mean, this is Kenya. If I want to fight you, you go use KRA, isn't it? Because they already have express authority to mine your information. I'll pull everything. Now, I said even those men who have many wives, wow. You know, they buy plots here, there, a house here,
all your
there.
Information
All your information will be out. But to me, that is not even the issue. The issue is, this is a very risky move to business community because you know very well business thrives on trade secrets. If trade secrets of, for example, if I buy some raw material to make a product, I wouldn't want my competitors to know where I buy my raw materials, you know. But if that information, because of course I paid this raw material provider or supplier this money, it will be out. So this is a very risky approach. if you're allowed to happen. And for me, I think Kenyans need to know that the Finance Bill 2025 is proposing to allow Kenya Revenue Authority, the commissioners of tax, to access to your private financial information. And by this, I mean every Kenyan, not only business people, not only salaried people like yourself, every Kenyan. And this, to me, is very dangerous.
Explain to us, before we get into now removing all these limitations, currently as it stands, if KRA wants my personal data, my bank accounts, my mobile money statements, what is the current?
They can only go to court and get a court order to access to your personal information, including your bank statement.
So now, if this is passed,
yes,
they can access.
They will not be going to court.
Me.
They will just be making a call. And they will get everything about you, and this is very dangerous.
Wow.
To what end do they want to access this? Is it because
they are recommending an integration of financial services? Integration of financial services, that is your financial services with KRA system. Integration. That means if you're paid 10 million, system sends a notification to KRA.
They take their money.
Dennis Okari has been paid this money. They want to integrate financial systems to make sure that if you have an account in this bank and that circle and this bank, they will be clicking a button and they'll be able to get all that information because they want to integrate financial systems. And in Kenya, you know, there is no boundary between financial information, political information, marriage information.
It's all one.
And any
are we afraid of the violations more than we are afraid of the tax obligation?
We are afraid of both. And we are actually afraid that we are going to break the ethics of financial management in this country. What are the principles of taxation, for example? Are we following the principles of taxation by recommending such kind of laws? And you don't make a law to prohibit another law.
Indeed.
You can't make a law to stop the other law from functioning.
To roll back on one that you had already brought in place for the
lawmaking is progressive. It is not retrogressive.
The Member of Parliament for Githunguri constituency, Gathoni Wamuchomba.
Mathe, yeah, that's my name.
That's what we are going with from here. Mathe is here, and we are looking into are our priorities right? But beyond that, breaking down the Finance Bill 2025 into bite-sized portions for us to have an understanding from her understanding of what is currently going on. So we'll take a break and we'll come back. But you know what? The INM Foundation is passionate about building a better future for Kenya, and it's the social investment arm of INM Bank. For the past 5 years, the INM Foundation has been making a real difference, investing a significant 2% of the bank's annual profit, the highest commitment in the Kenyan banking sector, into impactful programs. Now, their work focuses on vital areas like education and skills development, economic empowerment, and enabling giving. But today, we want to highlight their leadership in environmental conservation. The INM Foundation is dedicated to protecting our precious natural heritage through strategic partnerships and community-driven initiatives, ensuring a suitable future for all. They believe in impact, and are achieving it through focused action. So as we renew our pact to keep impacting, learn more about the INM Foundation's vital work and how you can potentially collaborate by visiting inmbankgroup.com/foundation to learn more. And it's powered by INM Bank.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Tune in for a divine Sunday service encounter at Rock Tabernacle with Reverend Julian Kula. Be part of a powerful atmosphere filled with heartfelt worship.
Blessed be the name.
A transforming word.
Some of you, your lives have changed by virtue of that word. In the name of Jesus.
And life-changing revelation. Come and experience healing, hope, and authentic fellowship.
Every time I encounter this place, something happens that begins to realign me with purpose.
As we raise kingdom champions every Sunday at 11 a.m. only on KTN.
God bless you.
You are my lawyer.
Yes, I am your lawyer. But the time and effort I put in this case is disappropriate to the profession and financial reward I get from you.
Can I be honest with you? When it comes to make signal, you can be a bit of a wuss.
Kwenda huko Purity. Kwenda venye unashindaga hapo ukitembea na mabwana za wenyewe. You of all the people, uko na right gani ya kuniambia hivyo? Njoroge, unajita mwanaume hapa hata huwezi shughulikia wanawake wako. Mbona vitu niko na hizi mashida zote shosh?
Good in dairy farming in Githunguri. Me, Madhe Fafanua, will animal feeds go up or go down in terms of pricing? And I think this is a very good question because, you know, like I said, the finance bill is not expressingly telling us which items are going to go up and which ones are going to go down.
Yep.
It's complicated for readers, so they need some of these explanations. Like I said, Finance Bill 2025 proposal is amending many acts. One of the acts that is going to be amended is the VAT, Value Addition Tax Act. And there is a proposal to amend the act and remove excise duty on raw materials that are used to make animal feeds. However, there is also another proposal to amend the VAT Act and add VAT. So we are removing excise duty on raw materials to make livestock feeds, and then we add 16% VAT. Let's do the maths.
Okay.
What is excise duty that is being removed? What is the percentage? 5%.
5%.
What is the VAT being added?
16.
16. Who is winning?
The state, the government.
Yeah. So animal feeds are not going to be cheaper.
You're still going to pay 11%.
Of course, you are even going to pay more than you are paying. Because it is retrogressive for you to remove excise duty and add VAT.
What was there before?
It was excise duty free. So, sorry, it was VAT free.
VAT
sorry,
free.
VAT,
It was VAT
free.
exempt.
Yes, it was VAT free. So we are removing excise duty, which is 5%, and adding a 16% for VAT. Who is being played here? And then Buddy is there on TV telling us, no, we have not added anything. You know, that has been his narrative. We are not adding anything. Listen to me, guys. Medication.
Next one, okay.
Exemptions removed. We are amending the same act, like I've said, excise duty and VAT. We amend. So medicine was previously exempted.
Yes.
Now, medicine is not going to be
exempted.
What happens to the cost of medicine across the nation?
It goes up, of course.
It goes up.
So what we are saying is
which
that
government cares for its people and adds value addition on medicine? By the way, what value are we adding on medicine? We can say we are adding value on raw materials as we make animal feeds. But what value are we adding on medicine? For heaven's sake, we import almost 90% of our medication in this country. So when we import medicine from Germany, for example, and bring it to Kenya, what value are we adding? Are we repackaging? I thought we don't even repackage medicine.
No.
What value?
Really?
Why is the government adding 16% VAT on medicine? Umetuwekea SHA haifanyi kazi. Hata kama inafanya kazi, basi unatuongezea cost ingine. You get what I'm talking about?
Okay.
So it defeats me. Who advises this government? And you know, President Ruto has the highest numbers of advisors ever seen in the history of this country. But there's this kind of goofs and mistakes.
So it's giving with one hand.
You give me
exactly.
Exactly.
There is also the issue of the fertilizer subsidy that in the budget is seemingly not there. And how would these then come to affect the farmer?
I want you to allow me to first of all finish with the finance bill, and then I'll touch on the budget, so that my listener doesn't get a bit confused. Let's go to eggs and onions. Last finance bill, I brought a lot of noise when I asked the government, why are you exempting onions from our neighboring countries? You're not promoting our local farmers. The same bladder they did in the previous finance bill. It's the same sound they're repeating. They are deleting exemptions for imported eggs, onions, potatoes, and plastics. Hello?
Yes.
When you remove exemption for eggs from Tanzania or Uganda, you remove exemption. But my farmer here in Githunguri is still paying VAT for animal feeds.
Let's say that so we can hear. So when we hear the word
you
exemption,
are actually telling me.
So what you're saying, sorry, Mheshimiwa, is that what you've done is when you remove the exemption on a tax for eggs that are coming in or poultry that's coming in, essentially
the eggs will become cheaper.
They are cheap.
Yes.
Because there's no tax on them. They're cheap.
Thank you.
Now, what you've done is that you have not removed an exemption on animal feed for the farmers in the country.
Yes.
So whatever they produce at the end of the day will be more expensive because they translate that price to the end user.
So when you exempt imported eggs from Tanzania, they'll be cheaper in the Kenyan market.
Right.
But in Kenya, you have added VAT on animal feeds that the farmers are buying to bring up the same eggs, produce the same eggs. So you will actually make the Tanzanians' eggs cheaper than the egg produced in Thika. Do you understand me?
Yes.
So you're actually killing our farmers.
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And that is why I'm saying this finance bill is even worse than what we had in 2024. It's only that the 2024 finance bill was directly mentioning item by item. But this finance bill is hiding all the new taxes under other laws. So that when mwananchi wa kawaida is reading this bill, doesn't get it directly. But some of us who understand the law, who understand the parliamentary way of doing things, we understand what's going on. Now let's go back to the people, the Gen Z in the house. How are you? See, you have all ran to social media. And you have a lot of apps on your phone. And those apps are generated by softwares. Now listen to me. Any business that is going to be transacted as digital market service is of course targeted. And remember, this was also a proposal in 2025 that brought a lot of energy with the Gen Zs. Now listen to me. They are not only now taxing digital services, they are taxing any transaction over the internet. So the amendment that is in the Finance Bill 2025 is to amend to work to put a word by over the internet. You remember, any digital service was a bit limited to only digital services that are known. But remember, those digital services are embedded on internet. There is no digital service that happens without the catalyzation or the facilitation of internet. So now we are amending the finance bill to make sure that the word over the internet is in the bill.
Give me an example.
So that is to mean any transaction you do, whether it is mobile money like mobile banking, you use internet for you to be able to withdraw money from mobile banking. Any transaction you do, including paying Huduma Center services, you use internet. Anything you do, including online marketing, online advertising, YouTubes and all those things, anything over the internet, including wale watu wanasoma online, you are captured in the new proposal of taxes. Please listen to me. The same amendment we are saying, we must define what is software distribution. So we are reviewing the way we had defined software distribution in a manner to indicate that any software used in Kenya, whether it is originating from Canada, originating from Germany, because you know we are not manufacturers of softwares in Kenya.
No.
Actually, almost 100% of the softwares you use in Kenya, pardon me if I'm wrong, are from other countries. Any software you're using, including this broadcasting software you're using right here in Spice, hii muko na software ya advertising ya broadcasting. Si hii software labda mumeitoa Canada.
Uko nje.
Na mwenye hii software Canada nalipia taxi. Anatumia nyinyi mkiwa distributors or direct users.
You buy the license.
You will have to pay for this software. So any software used in Kenya has to be paid for.
What does it say directly from that bill about that software technology issue? Because, Mave,
yes,
you know what you what you're saying here essentially is that any time you use money.
Yes.
When you use a web-based application, for example.
Yes.
Anytime you send money or you pay for something, that we are saying what? That there's going to be an increased tax on them?
Yes.
Over and above what is currently the case?
Yes. Sijamaliza na majenzi. Content creation.
Boy, okay.
Withholding tax yenyu. Excise duty yenyu imeguzwa. There is something we call digital asset tax. It has been reduced from 3% to 1.5%. Clap for the government.
Yeah.
They have reduced. Lakini what is hidden is this. They remove the digital tax. They add withholding tax. For
five, depending. And withholding tax is not just a number. It could be 5%, could be 10%. Some cases goes up to 20%.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So wanakwambia digital asset tax is reduced from 3% to 1%. Munafurahia. Lakini they are promoting you to afford these digital assets, this digital phone, this digital computer, so that your withholding tax is paid at 5%. Hello? So content creation, streaming of services, Gen Z is high. Online subscription of some sort. You know those online subscriptions that we normally do. Cost of entertainment. Wale wako kwa music na wanatumia entertainment for making their money, their livelihood. E-education, like online classes.
Yeah.
Anything that is going to be on digital platform over the internet is targeted.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
And that is a copy of finance bill. You can go and check. But like I said, all this is hidden under the amendment of Excise Duty Act, Tax Procedures Act, Income Tax, and such like tax that are going to provide an entry window to the taxman. Now, wanabiashara hai. Wanabiashara, nisikizeni. 2023-2024 finance bill ilikuwa imelenga sana wanabiashara. Lakini hii finance bill, hii imelenga mahustlers. Mahustlers, hii finance bill ni yenyu. Naona Okari ametingiza kiti. Amegeuka. How? Yule mtu mdogo sana ambaye anapokea pesa duni sana. Yule anaitwa at the bottom of the pyramid on salary scale. Ndio amelengwa sana na hii finance bill. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu huyu mtu kama anafanya kazi kwa kampuni, hiyo kampuni kuna taxes ambazo walikuwa relieved from, walikuwa wamesamehewa. Na hizo kampuni zimerudishiwa hiyo tax. Ilikuwa imetolewa, wamesamehewa na wamerudishiwa hiyo tax. Kama hiyo tax imerudishiwa kwa hizo makampuni ambazo zimeajiri watu wengi, kama zile zinaajiri watu wa nywele, zile kampuni zinaajiri watu wengi kwa factories in the manufacturing sector, kuna ile ambayo imetolewa inaitwa removal of compensating tax. Compensating tax. Kama hiyo tax imetolewa, it means the manufacturers and the employers will have to pay it themselves.
Yes, okay.
Watatoa wapi? Si watatoa wafanyakazi wao?
I mean, of course.
So wafanyikazi wao ndio watafinywa. Mnanielewa? So the removal of compensating tax will affect even the consumers of the products that are being manufactured by the same factories or manufacturers. Kwa hivyo hiyo tax will make livelihood of hustlers iende juu. Nimesikia watu wakisema mkate itaenda juu, sukari itaenda juu. It is true. Na mheshimiwa Badi uache kuambia watu maneno ambayo haina basis from the finance bill. You know when Bandi says that sukari na mkate haijaguzwa. Unajua anawafunga macho.
Kwa nini?
Kwa sababu hataki kuambia ya kwamba zile factories ambazo zimerudishiwa compensating tax walipe. Na wanatengeneza sukari. Itabidi wakilipa hii tax waongeze bei ya sukari.
End user.
So the target here, Mheshimiwa,
Yes.
is you then say, because that's what Kenyans want to hear, no more taxes, we are tired.
Yes.
So it's a classic case where you're saying you're not making any additional taxes on these products.
Yes.
But you are touching the producers, and in effect, you very well know that they are going to increase the cost of the products.
Indirectly.
So then is shifting the blame. Sisi hatuku tax. It is the manufacturers and the producers.
Thank you very much. Thank
so
you.
What I'm reading from everything you've been mentioning, so you remove, you exempt, but you add and slap 16% VAT on a lot of these things. So the target in this finance bill, compared to the last year's finance bill, is not. The last year was directly targeting
the end user.
The end user. Now this year's budget,
wameificha kwa makampuni na platform zenye ziko kwa users.
But it still comes to the end
But
user.
it still comes to you. I have just explained an example of a sugar manufacturer. Kama huyu sugar manufacturer ametolewa relief ambaye alikuwa amepewa ya tax. Yani imerudishwa, tax imerudishiwa. Alipe. Akilipa, nani atakuwa ameadhiriwa? Si ni mfanyikazi wa hiyo kampuni?
Yes.
Si ni wewe ambao unanunua hiyo product wanatengeneza? So the cost of those products will definitely go up. Let me finish with the hustlers. Section 5 amendment ya income tax inasema hivi. Reduce tax relief for low income earners. Let me repeat. Reduce tax relief for low income earners or those with minimum taxable deductions. This is to mean we are increasing their taxable incomes and adding a taxing liability to them. Wacha nifafanue hii. Wale ambao mulikuwa na pesa kidogo ambayo ilikuwa inatolewa matoleo ya tax ya KRA na mulikuwa mumehurumiwa kwa sababu kamshahara yenu ni duni. Sasa hii proposal inasema hata kama mulikuwa mumehurumiwa murudishiwe hiyo tax mulipe.
Wait a minute.
Yes, that is what this amendment part 5 inasema, section 5.
Open that please just a little bit and let's just open
Is
that
that
up a
even
little
constitutional?
bit.
Now listen, this is irregular and unconstitutional because you cannot tax me uniachie less than 2/3 of my salary. See that hiyo inaitwa 2/3 principle.
Yeah.
Inaitwa third principle ama 2/3. Third principle.
Yeah.
Uwezi nitoa mshahara
Over a third of the amount that you
unio tax mpaka kama mshahara yangu haiko kwa kiwango ambacho kinakubalika katika sheria za labor laws. Unanielewa? Kwa hivyo this, when you hear me submit on parliament, nasema this finance bill is irregular and unconstitutional. That is what I mean. Kwa hivyo hii inasema, na munisikize vizuri, reduce tax relief for low income earners, all those with minimum taxable deductions. Hii ni kusema increase their taxable incomes and add their taxable liability.
So if somebody
Kwa hivyo mahasla wote ambao wanafanya kazi kule Juakali, Kamukoji, wale wote wanafanya kazi kule Roiro kwa mafactory zetu, wale wote wanafanya hapa Spice FM na wako na low income, walikuwa wamesamehewa kutolewa matoleo ya kodi. Hao sasa kusamehewa kwao kumetolewa.
So
sasa hii finance bill inalenga akina nani? Si ni mahaslas?
But it's not constitutional.
It's not constitutional.
Na pia hii inalenga sio tu wale wameajiriwa, hata wewe ambao unatengeneza kikapu na ulikuwa kwa hiyo bracket ya low income earner. Ile reporting yako una report unasema income yangu ya kuuza kioski ni hii. Na ulikuwa kwa hii bracket ya low income earner, hata wewe hustler umelengwa. So this finance bill is not favoring hustlers. Hii ni ya kugandamiza kabisa. Na nikiongea hivi, matajiri wako kwa serikali wanaanza kupigia tu simu, wananiambia wewe Wamuchomba acha kudanganya watu. Kama ninadanganya wakuja hapa kesho. Wakuja hapa kesho uwaulize hao maswali. Na nitakuachia copy ya finance bill. Na nitakuonyesha ni page gani na ni section gani.
And this is what it says.
Is this to mean that you are increasing taxes for the low income earners?
So, Mathe, you know, this is the thing, that we're looking through the details of this, that Kenyans who even are going for public participation.
Which public participation?
And I know we're going to get
to
that.
Who told you there is public participation in Kenya?
So now, as we get to that, you can't go because it's not me. they're saying that you have to stay on. We need to get a little bit more information.
Oh, they want me to stay longer?
Yes, please.
Oh, I am at their service. You know, I'm a public servant.
There you go.
At their service.
That's what we're going to do.
Yep.
We're going to do it for another. We're going to go into this for another hour because
especially
it's important
watu
that we do.
Wako kwa informal sector. Yale wale wa kujiajiri wa saloon, wa vinyosi, wa metura. Watu wa kujiajiri wale wanauza gas, motuli wa gas. Kaa hapo, nikwambie vile hii finance bill inakulenga hata wewe.
She's a member of parliament for Gathoni constituency, but for all intents and purposes, today she's Mave, and she's saying, you guys, look, where it's been hidden, these are the things that are actually going on. We're also going to talk about public participation because people have been writing emails, people have been going to Barazas and been saying this is what they think, don't think, or making phone calls, sending messages back and forth. Finance Bill 2025, Mave says that it is actually worse than the one for 2024 because where there may not be any direct tax on you as a Kenyan, it's been hidden in other places whereby you will feel the pinch either way. And then, of course, people are saying, tell us what else it says and where there might be other hidden things. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back after this at the top of the hour with Member of Parliament for Gathoni constituency, Gathoni Wamuchomba, Mave. We'll be back in a short while after this. Sawa.
Classy and cool options he'll absolutely love. A chill day indoors or dinner out rather, Woolworths has the perfect gift waiting. Slide into a store near you, grab the good stuff and make this Father's Day unforgettable. Remember, this offer ends on the 16th of June. Terms and conditions apply, and Woolworths is the difference.
Thank you so much. And so there you go. You don't have to worry about that story anymore because there's 30% off. You have no excuse for just buying ties.
Yeah.
And, you know, Father's Day is coming up, so think about that. She's been gracious enough to stay on as we have some of these conversations. And we're looking at the finance bill. And one thing that has rung through, Wish, is that this is not overt, it is not direct, whereby it was blatant in our faces last year what the taxes would look like and that what would be introduced. This time it's, you know,
let me ask you a
behind
question.
The scenes.
If this finance bill has no new taxes and no new tax burdens, why is the regime so scared when a young girl, Rose Njeri, comes up with a website where people are supposed to send their submissions? Why are they so scared? Why would they, you know, arrest her? A whole government system going for a young girl who's just done an innovation on website? It's because they know they are hiding something and they don't want people to know. Wale ambao wanauza gas na wale wanafanya kazi ya informal sector. Informal ni wale ambao hawajajiriwa, wamejiajiri. Nisikizeni. Tax Procedures Act Amendment ile imeletwa katika finance bill hii ya 2025 inasema hivi, section 23A. Electronic tax invoice requirements are more demanding. Yani, ile electronic tax receipt unatoanga kwa ile mashini ya KRA. Iyo. Procedures za kuhakikisha ya kwamba kila mwanabiashara mdogo ametoa ETR zimewekwa majira kidogo. Yani ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba every electronic tax invoice is integrated with KRA systems. Mnajua, mnanisikia? Mnanielewa? Kwa hivyo nyinyi watu wa Riverori, nyinyi watu wa biashara wa pale Kamakis, mnauza tiles na mnauza mifereji ya kujenga, nisikizeni. Hii finance bill inasema section 44. It is mandating the Commissioner of Taxes to provide a reason for amendment of assessment. Yani, ukitoa ripoti yako ya ETR, ufile kwa KRA. Commissioner of Tax aone ni kama hujafanya vile unafaa kufanya ama ashuku umeficha tax. Anataka apatiwe ruhusa ya kureassess biashara yako.
And what does reassessing?
Reassessing means akuja kuambia hapana. Unasema ulitoa ETR hizi na hii pesa ndio unafaa ulipe KRA, lakini sisi tunafikiria you have $1 billion shillings you have not paid us.
But isn't that what they're currently doing? Because
nisikize. It is not about income tax. Because income tax ndio walikuwa wanakuassess. Sasa hii ni biashara kupitia electronic tax system.
So what exactly are they assessing?
They are assessing your system ile uko nayo, hiyo kama mashini yako.
Everything coming in?
Everything coming in, everything going out. If they realize or they guess. or they imagine that your system kuna tax una evade, they will come and reassess. And reassessing means you discard that old machine, you buy another one at your cost. And they fine you for that. That is what amendment hii inasema.
And do they come straight to the business to get it?
Of course. The Commissioner of Tax is going to provide a reason why they want a review of the assessment. This is going to overwhelm small businesses. Nisikizeni. Penalties for non-compliance. Usipo comply. They are increased in Section 83 of the amendment. They are even expanded fines for non-compliance. Expanded. Kuna wale ambao hawakuwa wanaingia kwa bracket ya fines, sasa wameingizwa. And then musome vizuri, mutaona kama ninaongea ukweli. Na kama siongei ukweli, mulete bandi hapa. Muache kumweka kwa Kibera Town Hall na watu ambao hawajui kusoma finance bill, alafu anaenda huko anawakalia kwa ma TV anasema hakuna tax ameongeza. This government is playing PR on you, on your livelihoods. And I'm here to tell you the truth. Nipendwe, nisipendwe, lakini ndio ukweli. Just hold on my brother. Just hold on my brother before I forget. Wale ambao ni wanabiashara wadogo. Amendment hii imeletwa inapatia the Commissioner of Taxes the overwhelming powers that are going to be misused. Commissioner of Taxes anapewa nguvu ya kufanya kitu inaitwa Advanced Pricing Agreements, APAs. Advanced Pricing Agreement imepewa power, Commissioner amepewa powers ya kufanya hivyo. The power to declare an agreement void due to misrepresentation. Give substantive powers to the Commission to ask for favors. Si mnajua vile kunaenda. Achani niwarudishe kitambo, sijui kama huyu jenzi alikuwa amezaliwa. Nikiwa kasichana kadogo, wakati nilianza kutangaza nikiwa 20 years old. Kulikuwa serikali ya Moi. Kwetu Central kulikuwa na mzee alikuwa amepewa excessive powers kwa Vehicle Inspectorate Department. Huyo mtu alikuwa anasimama hapa Yakiwe. Anagojea Gathoni Wamuchomba na kagari yake anasimamisha. Alikuwa anaenda mpaka na polisi. Anakuambia hii gari yako hujapeleka Motor Vehicle Inspectorate na nimekufine saa hii tupatane Thika kule kwa Motor Vehicle Inspectorate. Before ufike Thika amekuitisha handbag yake na handbag ya president. Mnanielewa? Kwa sababu that inspectorate officer was given the powers the Commissioner of Taxes want to be given. These powers will be misused. That the Commissioner of Power is given power to declare an agreement void. Biashara yangu na Dennis tumefanya agreement ya vile tutafanya biashara na ile tax tutapea kwa KRA. Anapewa power ya kuja ku negotiate advanced pricing agreements on your behalf if he thinks that you are misrepresented.
But what is it based on?
Yes.
Because it can't just be ambiguous. It has to be based on something. It is based on
Section 18G of the Tax Procedures Act, and that is what we are amending to give the Commissioner power.
But
sasa kwa hii serikali vile mnaona mtu akipewa kapawa kidogo vile wana misuse, tukipatia Commissioner of Tax power hii, biashara za River Road zita survive, biashara za kule Eldoret town zita survive, mahokoro huku Nairobi wata survive. That is why I'm saying this finance bill is targeting the hustlers. Let me ask you a question. Tukiamend hii Tax Procedures Act, zile requirement wameweka za kufile taxes, including reviewing the electronic tax invoicing system. Ni wanabiashara wangapi wataweza kuweka filing ya KRA vile inahitajika? Do you know wanabiashara wengi huwa tunaita accountant, professional accountant once in a year kwa biashara, anakuja anakufanyia mahesabu.
Everything and clean it up. Yes.
Anakufanyia mahesabu, unapeleka kwa KRA, unalipa, maneno inaisha. Kulingana na hii Tax Procedures Act vile tunaiamend, if you are a serious business, if you are a small business Kenyan, you will not survive. If you cannot afford a professional taxman, a professional tax consultant, a professional accountant to engage you, akufanyie returns zako na kazi yako ya KRA on a monthly basis, they will be penalized na watafunga biashara. That is what this Tax Procedures Act is saying. Now, unajua the basis of the Kenyan business economy, it is the informal sector. Wacha tuongee ukweli. How many people are employed versus the ones that are self-employed? Wale mama wa saluni wa Githunguri kwangu, wakiekewa hizi requirement tuna propose kwa hii Tax Procedures Act, wata survive. Watafunga biashara, wataenda nyumbani. And I'm here on Spices to talk about this because this must be heard by Kenyan business people, especially the low-earning businesses, informal sector, watu wa kujiajiri, nisikizeni. Hii ikipita, mwambie mbunge wako asipitishe hii. Akipitisha hii, I am telling you for a fact, you will remember me next year.
Can I ask you,
tutafunga biashara.
Give us a physical manifestation of what it would look like. I have a business, I am selling tiles in Githunguri town.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, according to what you're saying, what would essentially happen that was not happening before?
What will happen is that KRA will be given more power to scrutinize your papers.
Okay.
And they have powers to come and tell you, to doubt you. Wewe mwenye biashara, they have the powers now to doubt you.
So if they could wake up one day and say that we are not sure this is, they can actually come and touch it. Okay.
And you know, this has been happening on income tax. Si unasikianga tukisema sisi kama sisi wanasiasa tunaharasiwa na KRA maneno ya income tax. Ati hujalipa income tax yako vizuri na. They have been having that window. But this window now is going to be extended to businesses. Ati mkikosana na mwanasiasa fulani na yeye ni friendly wa serikali, atakuwa anaenda kwa KRA anasema ile biashara ya Wamuchomba enda uangalie sababu hajalipa 1 2 3. This is going to be very dangerous. And you know, because this is Kenya, it's going to be subject to misuse. Please hear me. I am not here because I'm a politician. I am here because I'm a lawmaker. And I believe that I am here to explain to you what this lawmaking process that we are just about to do in the National Assembly is impacting on your livelihoods.
So John Buddy says, before you continue,
yes, sir,
in defense of not raising taxes, he says, and he asserts that this access and level of access you're talking about is necessary. And he notes that the government is avoiding new or increased taxes because they want to focus instead on administrative reforms.
Thank you very much.
So the reforms is to raise an extra 25 to 30 billion to keep the deficit within 4.5% of GDP. So the target here is more of administrative reforms and those procedures that you're talking about.
The idea is they assume so many informal sector business people have not been paying taxes. And it is true. Only about 5 million people pay taxes in this country. Only 5%. So they are trying to expand their tax base by making sure they nab those that do not pay taxes. And they are increasing the penalties for non-compliance so that they can increase their tax base. Increasing the tax base ni kusema watu wengi ambao hawakuwa wanalipa ushuru wanaswe. Mnanielewa? Lakini kunasa ni sawa, tuongeze tax base ni sawa. In fact, if they can be friendly to the informal sector, if Buddy and his people can be friendly to the informal sector, this country will come out of the deep hole that we are in. But unfortunately, the punitive way of nabbing those that are not paying taxes is going to be retrogressive. They're going to lose more than gaining more. Because I know Kenyans.
Because they will evade.
People will evade. People will run away. Right now, I can tell you, like me, I'm from Mount Kenya, and I'll tell you we are business people. And we are the ones who occupy that base, ile informal sector. We are majority. They are going to Tanzania. Watu wameenda kuuza wembe Tanzania. Watu wameenda kuuza meiko Tanzania. I'm telling you. Most of the hawkers that were here in River Road, ebu angalieni muone, the amount of hawkers is reducing. Where do you think the hawkers are going? Just check. The amount of people who are hawking in Nairobi are going down. Where do you think they are going? They are going to Tanzania. Business operational environment in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, Dodoma is becoming better than Nairobi's economic business environment. That is what is going to happen. Last but not least, kwa wale watu wa chini. Kuna ile ilikuwa inaitwa, hapa nataka kuongea maneno ya section 12G, subsection 3A. Payment of minimum top-up tax. Deadline. Kwa wale wa biashara wako juu kidogo, wale wanalipa hiyo tax inaitwa minimum top-up tax. Deadline 4 months after the end of the income year is becoming very tight for compliance. Tukipitisha hiyo, zile biashara ambazo zinafaa zilipe hiyo tax inaitwa minimum top-up tax. Small businesses and self-employed, you must employ a qualified accountant for you to be able to meet the proposal. That is what I said. Kama hutaweza kuandika kalani wa kukutengenezea makaratasi yako ya KRA, huta survive tukipitisha hii.
You're going to have somebody professional on board to do it for you. Okay.
We are downsizing our companies because, of course, you know, the new the Kenya Kwanza tax regime has been very punitive. But unfortunately, they're asking every other business to make sure they have an accountant in-house. Because the penalties that are there proposed, they're going to be very...
What are the penalties?
But I may not be able to substantiate that because I've forgotten my copy in the car. So I cannot be able to read the penalties, but they are very stringent. They are very penalizing. They are tight.
But even when you talk about every business to have an accountant...
Hold on a minute. Just hold on a minute. Reduced period of claiming VAT. Tulikuwa tumepewa 3 years. Sasa imereduciwa to 2 years. The period of claiming VAT. Kama huna accountant in-house, utatoboa, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just asking... Having an accountant on board would mean for a small business that cost would definitely go to the end user.
Of course. That's what I said.
So that means the government is pretty much making sure it is difficult for manufacturers, for producers to do business because they know at the end of the day it will be paid for by Okarindu and Dennis.
There you are. So every other proposal that is in this finance bill, the costs of the amendments that we are going to do is going to be borne by the end user. End user ni consumer ama customer.
Yes.
Kama unanunua hair piece, hiyo hair piece haijaandikwa kwa finance bill inaongezwa, lakini manufacturer ambaye anatengeneza hiyo hair piece, akiwekewa hii kodi, itabidi ya kuongezee bei ya hiyo hair piece. And that is how the government is not telling Kenyans the truth. They are saying we are not adding any tax, we are not changing, we are only increasing our tax base, haiwezekani.
Okay. This is a constitutional process, this budget making, and the budget making, the finance bill is actually part of that process. Now, one of the things that is constitutionally mandated is public participation.
Yeah.
There have been barazas around the country. The head of the budget committee has been asking people to come out and, submit memoranda that would then give their thoughts around this. Give us a peek into what is actually done with those memoranda that are submitted. Are they actually looked at?
No.
Sorry?
No. No. Have you heard me? I can see she's looking at me like I am not answering the right thing. When I joined politics, there's a Muslim friend of mine who told me, Gathoni, I don't know whether you're going to survive in politics. I asked him why. He told me, because you always speak the truth, and in politics, you just don't have to be speaking the truth all the time. But unfortunately, I'm cut from that piece of cloth that knows the truth is a virtue. And this is the truth.
My question, tying into what Ndu is saying about public participation. So you have public hearings going on simultaneously as you have the parliamentary review still ongoing. Currently in Parliament, with what you've brought here, are they reviewing this? Are they discussing these contentious clauses? Are they looking at the critical clauses and additions around this finance bill? What's going on in Parliament?
I am not here to speak about Parliament because I'm not the right person to speak about Parliament. But based on my experience from previous Parliament, 12th Parliament, and now 13th Parliament, I want to tell Kenyans, please note that Parliament is not the right platform for us to advocate some of these things. But ideally, it's supposed to be the platform. Because... like I said, I don't have much hope in making things better in Parliament because it looks like Parliament has become another political platform. Please don't take me back to Parliament because I told you from the beginning, it is captured. Let's leave it at that.
You know,
there is nothing you can. You see, even if you asked me, I cannot go and tell my colleagues to do this. I am not there to tell them what to do. Everybody has their mandate from the people who voted for them. It's up to them to decide whether they want to fight for the people or they want to fight for their stomachs. Some of us have declined very serious, tempting offers to stop doing what I'm doing here. Nobody is motivating me to come here and tell you what I'm telling you. In fact, I think I suffer more. I expose myself more. There's somebody is watching me and listening to me and saying, oh, this woman. Oh, this woman. But I have to do it because my conscience tells me that I have to do this. This is what I was elected to do. And even if I'm not elected next parliamentary term, so be it. But Kenyans will say they had a member of parliament who told us the truth about finance bill. It pains me, my sister, it pains me, my brother, when I go to Githongori and find somebody who was in business, begging in the streets, telling me, nililemewa na biashara, nililemewa, kwa nini kanjo walinisukuma, environment nema walikuja wakaniitisha license, Kenya Power waliniitisha bill nikalipwa, nikashindwa na kulipa. Why are people complaining about basics of operating businesses? It's because we are not advocating for what is right. Who is calling out on NEMA, for example? The other day, NEMA coming to my coffee factories, for coffee factories that were built by our forefathers, they were built along the river valleys, so that factories can draw water from the rivers.
Easily.
Yeah. Actually, if you look at the way we do our coffee factories, the ones that were done by our forefathers, all of them zimejengwa kule kwa mto. Ndio wachukue maji kwa mto, wasiage kahawa, warudisha hiyo maji kwa mto kwa sababu haikuwa na uchafu. Uchafu ulikuwa natural. Ile ilikuwa ina decant. Unanielewa? Saa hii, every coffee factory in my constituency is supposed to pay NEMA for drawing water from the river. What is this? You know? So that is why I'm here. I am here because I feel that my conscience cannot allow me to keep quiet when Kenyans are going through this penalizing economic environment. Pardon me, I get very emotional when I'm speaking about this.
Granted.
We talk about a house, a parliament that is supposed to go through this, and you say it is a body that is not able to work this. Is the leadership in parliament making it difficult for the likes of you to speak and make sure that right is done?
I just said, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about parliament. Why are you keeping on asking me about? I told you one word, simple, captured. Executive captured parliament. Presidency captured parliament. Parliamentarian captured themselves. What other answer do you want?
If that is the case, what are we or what are the citizens supposed to do? Because it makes people feel not just tired and exhausted. It's a feeling of what else can we do?
What else can you do is to make sure next election you vote people of integrity. You know, let me tell you, I laugh when I see people electing leaders. I'm not trying to say that I'm a good leader. But for heaven's sake, if you really have to elect, for example, a woman rep, must you wait to see who is the best musician in town? Who told you a good musician will become a good parliamentarian? Must you wait to see who is the best cake matron? Who told you mtu akikata keki kwa harusi atakuwa MP mzuri akienda bunge? Must you vote that what is it called? Wa metura. Somebody who was selling meturas in the street, ati munamuhurumia, atoke kwa street aende bunge. And then you're complaining? What did you expect?
But it defeats the purpose.
Let me tell you, even in the opposition, and allow me to defend a few members of parliament, and please allow me, because you are pushing me too much to speak about parliament, and I did want to speak parliament because I'm not the spokesperson. But even when ODM is married to the government, because they are married, ile ya come we stay. ODM got married to Kenya Kwanza government, come we stay. Because they keep denying. Ni kama kuolewa tu kule kwa Gishagi. Unauliza, kwani ulioleka? Ai, bado. Tunakaa tu. You see that arrangement? But there are members of ODM who I salute even today. Even after their own party got married to Kenya Kwanza government, they are always the last members of parliament to close chambers. And I can name them, a few. People who have been voted constantly by their voters. They are serving their third term. There are people who are known that even if they are supporting the government in totality, when it comes to some of these things, they say no. They ask questions. Why are you removing money from sugar farmers? Like yesterday, there is a member who almost made the parliament to stand still, demanding to know why some 50 million was removed from sugar farmers and put to coffee farming. You know, those are members who feel they are supposed to be doing what they are supposed to do. But please, let's not discuss members here, because I'm not their spokesperson. Okay. I am here to discuss finance bill. I am telling you this: if this finance bill passes, the following will happen. Through tax obligations increments, self-employment and informal sector, you will pay more taxes than you were paying before. Polythene paper is going to go high. Businesses that are packing products, mafuta ya nywele, dawa, kila kitu ambacho kinatumia karatasi ya nylon, tengenezeni biashara zenyu, kwa sababu bei ya ufanyikazi wa hiyo biashara itaenda juu. Effect of digital marketing. Wale watu wanafanya digital marketing, kwa sababu ya ile nilisema ya the holding tax, yes, mnakumbuka? Itaenda juu. Effect of content creation. Nyinyi watu ambao mnatengeneza content majenzi, cost yenyu ya withholding tax itaenda juu. Effects of fuel and power, Kenya Power, itaenda juu. Effects of royalty za softwares, royalty za any software in this country itaenda juu, kwa sababu royalty has been redefined to the distribution. Most employed people cannot afford to professionalize their tax advisory, and they will not comply with the new proposals and deadlines put by the Tax Procedures Act amendment. And therefore, VAT refunds time, because it is shortened to 24 months, you will have accelerated tax schedules that are going to be more demanding for your businesses. Cost of living, health products, medication, itaenda juu. Removal of zero rating to exempt will increase cost of consumables like animal feeds, mobile telephone sets, solar panels, lithium-ion batteries. Munanielewa? Note, all exempt products will be subjected to 16%. Kidugyothe, kila kitu munasikia kimetolewa exempt, mujue
it's coming 16%.
It is coming back through VAT. Hello? Increased threshold for certain deductions, Section 5 for income tax. Low income earners, brace yourself for increased taxable incomes, and therefore you will be liable to pay taxes henceforth. Sijui kama nimetumia kizungu kingi sana. Kuna mtu ameniandikia message hapa anaitwa Steve kutoka kwa Mike, ameniambia leo lusungu lunamwagika. Lusungu.
Umemwanga kizungu, Kiswahili na Kikuyu.
I need us to take a break, just a quick one, and then we'll come back, because there's something you mentioned about fuel, and maybe you can just look over that, and then we can come back and look at that a little bit more, because we also know that fuel, if that is touched, it touches everything on top of touching everything again, isn't it? Made is here, the Member of Parliament for Githunguri constituency, Gathoni Wamuchomba.
Woman for the job.
And we are saying, looking into the details of this, I'm still shocked when I asked you about public participation, you said no. Why are we wasting time? That's another question, and we'll come back and talk about that. INM Foundation is telling us that, you know what, if you're passionate about creating a better future for Kenya, the INM Foundation is also. It's the social investment arm of INM Bank Kenya. For the past 5 years, INM Foundation has been making a real difference, investing a significant 2% of the bank's annual profit, the highest commitment in the Kenyan banking sector, into impactful programs. The work focuses on the areas of education and skills development, economic empowerment, and enabling giving. But today, we're focusing on environmental conservation. The INM Foundation is dedicated to protecting precious natural heritage through strategic partnerships and community-driven initiatives, ensuring a sustainable future for all. The INM Foundation is dedicated to this. They believe in impact, and are achieving it through social and focused action. So, as they renew their pact towards this, learn more about the INM Foundation's vital work and how you can potentially collaborate by visiting imbankgroup.com/foundation to learn more. Powered by INM Bank at 24 to 10. 24 to 10.
Straight up ndio show ninapenda. Fungua TV, keti kwa kiti, eka setup alafu feel inaweza. Uwezi fumble, uwezi gamble.
Kisha vile watu wanaweka energy vizuri tamashani. Dance na mimi.
Ladies and gentlemen, they call me Joe the Best. That is JOEDVS-double-T. And remember, Straight Up Show, we bring you the A-list artists all around the globe. So this is how we roll. And when we talk about the movement, crazy energy, this is what I'm talking about right here on Straight Up Show.
DJ Tatua.
Kisha vile watu wanaweka energy vizuri tamashani. Dance na mimi. Hizo ni gani wanaleta maiza mabani tunaka vizuri. Dance na mimi.
Strani za kizimbi team si lazima ni dingi. Tani kwa mabibi na
What would be your opening argument about your home? Yes.
Yeah.
How would you summarize? Yeah.
And I'll use you as your honor.
Yes, my honor. Yes.
Your honor.
Yes.
You're walking into a home. That's not just a home. It's a haven of peace, of joy, of refreshment. It's a home about community, about family, about love. And we'll tell you a story that only says that a home is not just a piece of furniture.
Yes.
A home is life.
Yes.
A home is people. A home is community.
You people, you should love me. na kwani mnafikiri Trump ni nani alifanya akashinda?
Ni nani?
Yeye unacheza bwana. Kama si mimi Trump angeshinda.
Ulifanya?
Si nilimwimbia. Mnacheza na mimi bwana. Nilimwimbia wimbo moja moto sana bwana.
Achilia.
Alisikia tu nikianza kusema no tikiti. Papa, no tikiti kandi. No tikiti sonana. No tikiti. Papa kandi. No tikiti. No tikiti sindio. Sindio. No tikiti sonana. No tikiti. No tikiti.
Makoha. Nini? Makoha nini? Makoha nini? Ngoja. Wase.
You'll find the perfect gift. Now let's make this Father's Day extra special. Visit your nearest Woolworths store and get him something he'll low-key love and high-key brag about. Terms and conditions apply. Woolworths, the difference, including kitamba ya macho, utapata.
Ya mashisho. Ya glasses. Siseme ya macho, kitamba ya macho inaweza kuwa ni face towel.
Ya glasses.
Glasses. Kwanza mzee akizeeka, baba yako akizeeka na anavalia glasses. Hii kupanguza hiyo glass inakuanga story.
Ngumu.
Unaonanga akiwa na mist.
Good Lord. You're a comedian too. Okay. Well, so then Finance Bill 20, there's a lot we've been talking about and looking into some of these issues.
Kuna mtu ameniambia ati nisisitize maneno ya e-teams. Niseme ni section gani ambayo inasema kuna assessment ya e-team ya X.
Okay.
Kile yako kawindo kakifunguliwa jameni, wacha nikwambie tutateswa na hao watu wa KRA.
How?
Unajua sasa mtu atakuwa anakaa tu anafungua hii kampuni yako anaanza kusema uliassess aje hiyo tax yenye ulifile ulicount aje. Unajua for now they don't go back to know how you tabulated. Now they have a window ya kusema hata huyo accountant mwenye alikufanyia hiyo kazi
nimekora
alimisrepresent wewe.
Ati
sasa Commissioner of Tax atakuwa anasema you are misrepresented.
And you'll pay for it.
Of course. There's even a penalty.
Yeah.
Hiyo ni section 23A ya Tax Amendment Act. Mutafuta hiyo Tax Amendment Act, muisome section 23A, alafu muchukue finance bill, muangalie pahali hiyo amendment imewekwa. That's the way to read finance bill. Yes. Na watu wameniambia ati hey, you need to come back to KTN again. Wale wanatuona kwa TV. Nitakuja, lakini wale watu wanaendaga kwa Shailoko kuomba pesa. Sisi ambao tunaendaga kuomba pesa ya quick loan. Digital lending tax inaitwa direct tax charges imewekwa.
On whom?
On anybody who is doing digital lending. Digital lending ni kusema wale ambao munaomba ile ya haraka ya M-Shwari, wale munaomba haraka kwa some apps, munaingia kwa some apps munakopa pesa ya haraka. Haikuwa imewekwa direct charge ya digital lending. Sasa imewekwa anybody lending digitally. Kitambo ilikuwa banks zenye zinakontroliwa na Central Bank of Kenya. Hizo zilikuwa zinachajiwa hiyo pesa.
Ya serikali pia inapeana loan.
Sasa wametengeneza vile watashika wale washairo kwa Githurai.
How much? So there's excise duty.
Watu wa Eldoret.
So Mheshimiwa, there's excise duty on the digital lending fees. How much are they going to be charging these apps in terms of excise duty?
I think it was 5%. No, 1.5%. 1.5%, and then they're increasing. They're putting another one called direct tax charges on digital lending.
How much is that?
I can't remember offhand. I need to check.
Are these fees charged to borrowers?
Yes. This is the cost that is going to be pushed to the borrower.
So every time you're transacting, that
kama ni mimi nakupatia loan,
it's a tax on the business, but it will be translated to the borrower.
Na nimewekwa hiyo charge na mimi ndio nakukopesha pesa. Si nikikukopesha pesa basi nitakuongezea hiyo interest. Hiyo sasa hiyo cost of borrowing ya Mashairox na digital apps zenye tunaomba pesa ya haraka. Sasa hiyo kazi yao itakuwa ya bei kali kidogo.
But these digital lenders, Mheshimiwa, they're outside Central Bank of Kenya licensing. So how are they going to enforce this?
That is why we are amending the law so that we can get them into the bracket.
But do you amend to bring them on board first before you can slap these taxes? Because it's interesting. The digital
we are trying to bring them just like we have done an amendment to say over the internet. Si hiyo ni kuleta wale hakuwa kwa hiyo bracket ya kuchajiwa tax wataxiwa kwa sababu tumeweka jina over the internet.
So anything over the internet.
Sasa tunaleta hii inaitwa digital lending. Tunaiweka sasa the official language of taxing so that we can get anybody.
But that's very odd because
in the original act ilikuwa ina describe wale watu wanapea pesa ya mkopo wakiwa katika umbrella ya oversight ya Central Bank of Kenya. Sasa tunaleta amendment inasema hatutaki kujua kama wewe uko Central Bank. Digital lending, as long as you're doing digital lending. Do you know who we are targeting now? Apps. Hizi apps zenye ziko huku nyingi za kulend watu pesa za haraka.
But and I think that's where you're going, Dennis. These apps should be, from my understanding, unless it's different, actually should be regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya. That the licensure that they have to operate in the first place comes from the central bank.
That is the validity we are making. Once we recognize you in law, we have recognized you as a digital lender, and you're in the bracket of digital lending. Now you'll be subject to regulation.
But there has to be a formal oversight to begin with, because it's a very odd situation where these are unregulated lenders.
Law making is a progressive process.
Yes.
You must start somewhere. That is where we are starting. The minute we recognize you legally that you are a taxpayer, then we will give you regulations on how we are going to regulate the other activities and functions around you.
So if I'm unregulated and I'm paying taxes and I'm filing my returns, what does it say about my business?
The minute we acknowledge you in law, then we will be forced to make sure that we regulate you. Otherwise, how will you collect the tax?
But this is absurd.
So the next miscellaneous bill we will bring in Parliament will be about these digital lenders immediately, just like we did last time.
So start taxing first and then now.
No, we acknowledge you even before we operationalize the taxing. We will rush to Parliament and bring a miscellaneous and give you functionalities on how we are going to operate. Sasa kwa usafi na kwa in a simpler way, I'm trying to tell people who operate in the Cyrox, especially my people of Biashara, hapa mujipange. Na hapa nasema hata wale wanaeta Shyrok na wale wanafanya land buying project. Unajua zile project tunachanga pesa, tunaomba kidogo kwa hii kampuni inauza shamba, inatukopesha kidogo, unalipa deposit, unalipa kidogo, hata nyinyi mmenaswa. Yes, including land buying projects that have a function of lending. Mumenaswa.
Okay.
Hata sijapata time ya analyze budget.
You do. We're going to give you, and I would like to look at, let's do going into that, because you know what? That at the end of the day, the budget will be, the statement over hours will be given by the CS Treasury tomorrow. It will happen. Now, we know that the finance bill, although not law yet, if these things then are passed, because they will still go for debate before the House, isn't it? Now, if that all passes, is then when it becomes an act, essentially then becomes law. With the reading of the budget, which essentially now gives fuel to this budget will be read tomorrow.
Yeah.
Where are we seeing that there may be some discrepancies that may not be on the okay for Kenyans?
On the okay, before I touch on that question, allow me to just, kuna mtu ameniuliza, the only strong thing you said that the government has tried is what you talked about, the digital asset tax. You remember?
Yes.
Imerudusiwa from 5% to 1.5%.
Yes.
That's the only strong thing I've said. There's something else I want to say that is strong. Sijui ni nani alienda ka negotiate na serikali, the executive, akawa convince ya kwamba export and investment promotion levy ambayo inaguza maneno ya chuma iko juu, akaileta chini. Aliileta chini from 17.5% to 5%. Export investment promotion levy.
Why?
Only on chumas, nothing else. Okay. It's like in this country we only import chuma.
I see you wanting to ask a question behind that.
Of course.
Because
what
the
justification
the mistrust is so high
to
here.
only deal with chumas. Why didn't you deal with the other things that are involved in the, for example, in the construction industry?
Where are you going, Mathe? Because are you saying that is there somebody who will be benefiting directly from that?
Tunajua hii maneno ya affordable housing. Tunajua ni akina nani wako behind them who are benefiting. And this is discriminational taxation. Because what justification did you use to just say chuma ndio tutatolea export promotion and levy from 17.5% down to 5%? Why didn't you do that? Utoe hiyo export promotion levy ya kahawa ambao sisi ambao tunadili na kahawa na majani chai na makadamia. Kwa nini hutukupatia hii ukapatia tu watu wa chuma? And are they majority in the Kenyan population if really you want to help people? Well, it's a good thing for those who are in the industry. It's a good thing.
But why don't we see the replication of it across
the
board?
Discriminatory. And by the way, there is increased excise duty on construction materials except steel. Dennis, unakumbuka tulisema toa hii weka hii, lakini mwishowe inafinya. Tumetoa hiyo yote kwa steel, lakini on other materials za construct there is an increased excise duty.
Because you need other materials to construct anyway.
Of course. Huwezi jenga nyumba na steel peke yake. In other words, I'm trying to say, wale ambao wamejenga nyumba za kukondisha, lazima waongeze rents.
It's like saying
wale ambao wamechukua maloni kwa mabenki wajenge nyumba za kukodisha, hizo zinaitwa rentals. Itabidi waongeze rents. Who is going to suffer? Ni wale tu Badi alisema haongezi ushuru. Ni wao tu kwani na kina nani wanakaa nyumba za kukondishwa? Si ni nyinyi mahasra? Sasa nikisema hii finance bill inaguza wa mahasla, ninaambiwa ati mimi ni mwanasiasa mbaya. Si ni afadhali niwe mwanasiasa mbaya na niongee ukweli? So that is why I'm telling Kenyans, 2027 kwetu huwa tunasema mujichune masikio kwetu. Mama yako akikwambia wewe jichune masikio, ni kusema sitawahi rudia tena. Mujichune masikio